All right. I guess this is everybody we have here. Except maybe they're trying to join and I can't see them. Okay, yes, one more person is trying to join. Yes. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening once again. My name is Fola, and I'm the executive director of Elite Life Consulting. I'm here to open our mental health advocacy training. Okay, and I'm hoping that we will find the opportunity to learn about what it takes to be effective mental health advocates. I've prepared a small write-up, but then majority of the work that's going to be done is going to be done by our foremost clinical psychologist, Obiwani, who will take us through about what it takes to be a mental health advocate. When we hear the word mental health, it comes with a lot of nuances. Some people think that mental health is as a result of, if you have a pen and a paper, I would suggest that you document some of the things that we are talking about. When it comes to mental health, people think about mental health in several ways. And one of the areas where I think mental health is really interpreted is through cultural lenses, meaning that different cultures have a way of thinking about mental health. But then, as a mental health professional myself, I'm a clinical psychologist. Um, I have a responsibility to be able to become what we call culturally emic or culturally competent, such that I'm able to see the positivity around the ways culture interprets it, but also see the negativity around it and try to correct erroneous beliefs surrounding mental health. This leads me to okay, somebody's trying to get admitted again. Let me add her. This leads me to, you know, the some of the things that will be talked about as we progress. Um, One of the areas that I believe is very essential for any person to know about mental health is surrounding the myth and the misconceptions around mental health in general. And so I want to take the opportunity for us to say that this is going to be something extensive. I encourage you to please pay attention, give it all the attention it requires, and look at it because examples will be thrown. I want you to look at it from the lenses of, you know, the things that also happen around you. I'll give you a short story before I read my write-up. Um, when I was growing up, I grew up in Lagos, Festac Town. That was where I was born. I was born in Festac Town. And if anyone is familiar with where Festac Town is, it has blocks of flats. So we're living in blocks of flats. I think 16 flats in one block. And we had like 5 or 6 blocks in a close. So imagine how the number of families that we had. Now, there was a guy, we used to call that guy Opayoyo. Opayoyo was a vagrant psychotic, meaning that he was he was walking down the streets. This is what we call AKA a mad person. Okay. And so no one wanted to deal with him. I remember that time my parents would say, ah, don't, when, in fact, when they see him, all the kids will be running away. Okay. Don't allow him touch you. If he bites you, you will become mad too. So once we see him, everybody, if we were playing football on the streets, everybody will run back into their homes. Okay. But Okayo, you had a family. The family was living around our close. We knew their family. Nobody associated with Opayoyo's family. This is what people think about mental health is. Now, that's an extreme case. But I also know that we had a family where the mother of one of the boys that we used to play with, Abayo, um, this boy, had his mom who was, in a way, um, she was home and bedridden. But when we talked to the mom didn't have a clue of whatever she was doing, right? But because it is their mom, they had to take care of them. This is a young boy taking care of his own aged mother, right? And so at the time, I never knew there was something called schizophrenia. Neither did I know that there was something called dementia and Alzheimer's, but they were available to me at the time. The problem with that is I was just it felt so weird when I went to Abayo's house, because it was the way they spoke with their mother, you know, it felt like they were so unruly, and um I was so bitter by how they were treating her. My opinion doesn't change now, but I know better, because I now understand how frustrating it can be when a person who is taking care of somebody dealing with a mental health condition can be overstretched. This is what mental health really is. Mental health is about you, and it's also about me. Yes, I see I've already let them in, and I'm seeing it. Once I see more people, please keep notifying me and I'll add them. Now, why is this the case, and what are we going to learn as we, start this? Or why did we even decide to do this? When we started this competition, we didn't know that it was going to go, this big. We didn't know that people will subscribe to it the way it did. We had over almost 80 applicants, I think, in the space of 2 months. So if we even made it more, if we gave people more time, we probably would have had hundreds, if not thousands, of applications. But then, while we were screening out those who were, qualified to participate, we discovered that a lot of people did not even understand how to address mental health conditions. And we said, oh, it would be a good opportunity to elaborate on this so that you guys who are creators can continue to create quality content that will make people understand the nature of mental health. And so the reality is that mental health advocates operate at a qualitative level higher than an average person, because you will focus on systemic understanding of cultural nuances and lived experience. Every one of us, one way or the other, have suffered from a mental health condition, one way or the other. If you've had problems adjusting to living in a new environment, right? I hope you know that that is a mental health condition. In fact, we call it an adjustment disorder. You see? Now, if that adjustment disorder comes with you feeling sad all the time, feeling withdrawn, not having social connections like you used to, it is called adjustment disorder with depression. If the person is, now getting very worried about their environment and also experiencing those depression symptoms, it is called, and this is a valid diagnostic criteria called diagnosis called adjustment disorder with mixed episodes of depression and anxiety. How about if it begins to affect your behavior, or say maybe a child who just left an environment that they were used to, and then before you know it, they begin to have emotional outbursts in school, or they begin to get more violent at school. That's another mental health condition called an adjustment disorder with emotional disturbance and conduct, with mixed emotional disturbance and conduct. You see, so there are definitely things that we have experienced. It looks normal, but it also affects our mental health. If you have at any point suffered grief, maybe loss of a loved one, that even till today you hear about, or hear maybe a music that you and the person used to listen to, and you become emotional and you seem like you cannot function, you might be going through some issues with prolonged grief disorder. Sometimes you do not even need to have a prominence diagnosis to have a mental health symptom. So these are things that we need to know foundationally so that it gives us the opportunity to be more culturally competent, more empathetic, and more knowledgeable about how to handle situations around other people. So we need to have a deep understanding of the symptoms, the systems, and the context. Now, what it means is that we need to know how mental health systems actually function across population, children, adults, adolescents, older adults, setting, and geographies. How it's different from Nigeria, and how mental health is presented differently in the United States, where I am currently. How it's different for an Ijaw man, and how it is different for an Hausa man. We need to understand those things as well. So many advocates can cite cultural competency models, but qualitative advocacy recognizes that culture is heterogeneous, it is dynamic, but guess what? It can also be an individual. So when we understand that even in the midst of diversity, one person can be totally different from the other person, doesn't mean that the person is a problem. It just means that the person is different. So I encourage you, as you learn today, that you open your mind to the multiple things that you're going to talk about. Um, Having opportunity to learn from multiple sources. So don't just also sit down from here. Don't take our word for it for here. Go and also do your own research, because it will improve your capacity to make more decisions, create better content, also improve your own opportunities as an individual. You can become someone who is a policy change maker. You can be an advocacy person in the community. You can have an academic career being a mental health advocate, and so on. So, with these few opening remarks that I have given you, I hoping that I have been able to motivate you to see the benefits and see the importance of being an effective mental health advocate. At the end of this, you'll be getting a certification from us saying that we've been able to let you know what we know as Elite Life Consulting to support people to become effective mental health advocates. Thank you. Obiwani, I think you have the floor.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that. Um, as if you've even done the whole lecturing. Um, Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Anita, KZ, Ezekiel, Ademisola, Olajumoke. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name well. And every other person. I can see. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, so you're welcome to the your first session for your advocacy training, and congratulations once more on the competition that you won. So please, I'm going to be sharing my slide. Like I said, that Mr. Fola had already given a holistic introduction to what mental health is, and citing few real life examples to draw home the points, what mental health looks like, and how we have people with mental health challenges living amongst us. So just please hold on, kindly hold on. Let me share my slide, please. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find my document. Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. Sorry. Um, how am I supposed to do this? Okay, can you see my screen? Please, can you screen my can you see my screen, please? Okay. Oh, I think this I can't present like this. I don't even know. So I'm trying to. I think we can just. It's not. I was trying to put presenting so it could enhance it, but I don't know. Can't seem to figure that out. But I think this is. Is it okay? Does it look tiny? Oh dear, I think it does. Fadeke, please, can you help? I don't know. I'm trying to. I think I'll have to. Hello, Fadeke, please. Any insights? I'm not able to share this screen. I was thinking. Yeah, I cannot hear you. No, I can't hear you. Okay, yes. You can talk, please. If someone has a.
Okay, there's a way to enhance it, like the way you did it the first time. There's a way we can expand it and then see see it clearly. I could see it very well at my end.
Okay.
And the way you did it the first time, then there's a way we can make it bold on our screens.
Okay. Just something like this.
Yes,
But the
ma'am.
thing, yes, then there's a place we can expand it. There's this something below the right side that is white.
Okay.
We can just tap there, then it will expand. That we can see it clearly at our end if we do like that.
I think I've done that. It's not full screen, but the problem is that it's
Yes.
not the slides. It's not moving to different slides.
Okay, okay.
Oh dear, I think I will just have to run this thing without sharing. Maybe, let me see if I can send the PDF file to the group. I think that's what I'll just do. How about that? Okay, all right, that's fine. So let me just um okay, let me oh dear. Okay, I think let me just continue. I would send the documents. I don't know what's happening. I'll send the documents later to the group. Because of time, let me just can you all hear me? So let me just continue and so we'll be talking about first of all what is mental health. Like Mr. Fola rightly said, it's please can you all hear me? Okay, that's
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
All right. So we so what is mental health generally? Mental health is not the absence of an illness, is the how you're emotionally and psychologically and socially well. Is the whole your yourself, how you relate with people, how you communicate with people, for your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being, and being able to regulate emotions, being able to communicate with people socially, are you able to nurture friendships, are you able to nurture relationships. Like some people, they'll be like, oh, there's nothing, okay, they feel that they are mentally well, but when you stay with them, you find out that they are unable to stay with people, they are unable to nurture relationships. It's a sign of that that the person is mentally unwell. So when you talk about mental illness, it's not just when someone has a diagnosis, has a disorder. It's how the person is well balanced, how the person functions in the society, in the community. So when you talk about mental health, it exists on a continuum, like let's say a straight line. You go from being mentally well to distress, then to psychological disorder. So the difference between you now and someone that has a psychological disorder is just the line in between, which is psychological distress. Now, most times we travel between mentally healthy and being in distress. The difference is that if you are able to cope well, if you have social support, and you have positive coping mechanism, you can now bounce back from being in distress to being mentally healthy. So like an average person rotates from mental health, mental well-being to psychological distress to that back and forth till is when you're not able to when you don't have that resilience to bounce back to being psychologically healthy. That's when you cross to the other end of the continuum, which is psychological disorder. That is when you have a mental breakdown. That is when you have that you need interventions, both from professionals and depending on the severity, from even psychiatrists, with your medications and everything. So that is the summary of what mental illness is, and recognizing the symptoms early and also getting help on time, getting support and intervention on time improves the person's prognosis. That's the recovery prospects. Now, what are the common mental health illnesses? We have depressive disorder. This is characterized by persistent low mood, loss of interest, low energy, guilt. Sometimes in severe cases, the person experiences suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation. You have anxiety disorders. Please, if you have any questions, please kindly raise your hands. So that's as I'm talking. Please, if you have any question, just raise your hands. So we have anxiety disorder. It does including when under anxiety disorder, you have generalized anxiety, you have panic disorder, social anxiety, phobias, and anxiety is marked as a whole. Anxiety is marked by excessive fear. When someone, is excessively afraid of something, maybe an event like social anxiety, the person is afraid of interacting with people or talking to people. Now we all experience anxious feelings during the course of our day to day and relating with people. But the people with anxiety means that it's impairs their function. Someone that has anxiety, social anxiety, will not be able to go for parties or go for any social gathering at all. So it impairs their functions that they avoid that situations, or if they're exposed to that situation, they'll start having physiological symptoms like palpitations, sweaty palms, and the rest. So that's the difference. As averagely we experience anxiety towards different things. It could be talking to people, it could be um wearing, probably when you want to make a presentation, sort of, you feel that sweaty palm and everything, your heart is beating fast. But the thing is that the difference between you and the person that's experiencing anxiety is that you are able to calm yourself and still go on to do that activity or that event that is causing that anxious feeling. But then on the other hand, the person that has a psychological challenge as anxiety will not be able to do that, carry out that activity. It will definitely impair his or her function. Then substance use disorder, these when you use of alcohol or other substances, and where it leads to impairment or dependence, that you cannot go on carry on your day-to-day activity unless you use that particular substance. There's also trauma and stress related disorders such as post-traumatic stress, people that maybe that has experienced violence or any form of trauma or accident, and they keep having flashbacks, and because of the flashback or the experience, they are not able to function. So this, it's also another it's a form of mental health challenge. There we have psychotic disorder. Mr. Fla just told the story about someone that, in quotes, a Nigerian language, that in their neighborhood that they refer as mad. Is no sense is psychosis, where that the person experiences hallucinations, delusions, and these hallucinations is when you hear or see things. You have auditory hallucination where you could hear something that others are not hearing, or see things that others are not seeing. That's a vision hallucination. Or delusion, when you have thoughts, you're holding on to a thought that is not the reality. So this is a form of disorder too. This psychosis is a prominent symptom of schizophrenia. They're the ones that usually, experience that. Although you can have substance-induced psychosis, trauma-induced psychosis. So someone might experience psychosis not because they have schizophrenia, because they are abusing substance. So there's another disorder. It's called bipolar. This one is a disorder where the person alternates between depressive mood and mania. Mania is when they have elevated mood, when you see someone, they are happy this minute and socializing and doing everything, and the other minutes they are very quiet, they are so depressed, low mood, no energy, inability to eat and all that. So that's what is called bipolar disorder. And there are neurodevelopmental conditions too. These ones are, most times it's from birth, like ADHD, autism spectrum, and the rest. It also impairs functioning. And like for being an advocate, you're not expected to diagnose these disorders. We are just giving you a knowledge. Like Mr. Fola said, you can also read up and equip yourself very well. But the thing is that what we want to achieve is for you to have knowledge of these things, and so you can recognize the patterns, and they recognize when someone is in distress, and so you can make informed decision to either refer the person, look for help, or support the person, whichever the case is. So just for you to be equipped with the knowledge. So what are the signs and symptoms of mental health challenge? We have, the symptoms are in group. We have emotional symptoms, have cognitive symptoms, we have behavioral symptoms, and then physical symptoms too. So you have persistent sadness. In the case of depression, you have excessive fear or worry. In the case of anxiety, you have irritability, mood swings, feeling of hopelessness or worthlessness. These are emotional symptoms. Most times these symptoms, you cannot see it. The person has to report it, during the course of your discussion with the person. The person would, how do you feel? From that, the person will report most of these symptoms. Then cognitive symptoms, you have difficulty concentrating, racing thoughts, intrusive thoughts, distorted beliefs, and indecisiveness. So these symptoms too, you also need to it's something you might not see physically the person experience it. So either the person reports it or you note it probably during your conversation with the person, and the person's speech is altered. The person is talking what we call out of point. Maybe to ask certain question, the person is answering something else, depending. So you might take note of it. Person might report it during your conversation. Then you have behavioral signs like social withdrawal, loss of interest in activities they've previously enjoyed. You have changes in sleep or appetite, substance use, aggression, poor academic or work performance. Please give me a minute, sorry. All right, sorry, I found the document. Let me just put it on the group now. I don't know, I downloaded it. I couldn't find where it was saved. Just, sorry, a minute. Okay. Okay, just sent it. So let me continue, hopefully. After behavioral science, like I talked about, changes in sleep or appetite, substance use, aggression, poor academic or work performance, So I think when Mr. Fola was saying, he mentioned a child that will probably in school or maybe changed the new school or something, and you notice that the child's academic performance, declined. So it could be behavioral sign of a mental health challenge. It might not be that the child is, not just not how will I put it, maybe rebellious. It could be a sign of mental health challenge. And substance use. At times, when you see someone that abuses substance, it might be peer pressure, yes, but it could also be a cry for help that, oh, there's something underlying wrong with the person. And at times these disorders, I forgot to mention, can comorbid. So you might have someone using substance use disorder, and then also having depression. So they two different disorders can coexist. That's just what it means. Then you have physical signs like unexplained headache, um body pains, fatigue, psychomotor agitation, slowing down. So that unexplained headache that someone keeps complaining of, it could be as a result of mental health issues, especially when the person had already visited doctors and physiologically they're okay. It could also be pointing to mental health challenges. Then coming to the main purpose of why we are here, mental health advocacy. So as an advocate, you have a very important role in promoting and awareness of mental health, and also supporting those that are affected by mental health. That is just your core role. And then for you to promote something, you should have a knowledge about that thing and also a passion for that thing. You cannot promote what you don't know. So promoting awareness also will include psychoeducating people, because people have misconceptions when it comes to mental health. There are people that still feel that when they sit beside someone that has a mental health challenge, that they can also be infected. There are a lot of misconceptions, and it is your duty as an advocate to psychoeducate people in your community and also raise awareness. And this awareness and support most times is through structured structured program. And most times through structured programs. Yeah, so it's something you should be able to equip yourself with skills and essential knowledge, knowledge around stigma, knowledge around mental health issues themselves. Then I also knowledge on how to empower these individuals. When it comes to stigma, like I said, there are different cultural beliefs. There are people that that because they don't want that stigma, even as a family, they hide their loved ones that is experiencing mental health issue, so that it doesn't go out of the public that, oh, their family, they have, in quotes, like we talk say in Nigeria, the family, they have madness in their lineage, in as much as to an extent, because there are also biological predisposition to mental health issues. So to an extent, it is correct, but there are other factors. Even if you're biologically predisposed to having a mental health challenge, it's the social factors that triggers it. But and if you have support, you might be able to manage your challenges well. So there are a lot of the misconceptions that as an advocate you need to understand, especially the ones that is, the one that in the community you're living, the one that they believe and hold on to. You need to understand it well. So as an advocate, what is it that you should know? Your role as an advocate, like I said, primarily is to educate, support, and by educating and support, you're preventing, the individual from having more complications, so to say. You're preventing the individual from prolonging help and reducing their and giving them a better prognosis, so to say. So your key areas of knowledge includes basic understanding of mental health and mental illnesses, the impact of stigma and discrimination on help seeking. It's very easy for you to tell someone as an advocate, and someone sharing their story, it's very easy for you to tell someone, okay, do that or do this or do that. But if you don't recognize the stigma they can experience in seeking that help, in even telling their stories, even coming out to to ask for help, you might not really give them the help that they need. Then your role of social support, empathy, and active listening. You should develop the skill of active listening. It might sound very easy. It's enough for you to just sit down and listen to them. But then if you're not actively listening and the person shares, talks to you today, shares their story, and tomorrow, because it's not a one-off thing, and tomorrow you're seeing the person and asking questions that is making the person repeat what they've actually told you before. Of course, within them they'll feel like, well, the person we're not even listening at all. So what is the need? So your role as a social support, and being an active listener is very important. Then you also understand your cultural and community beliefs about mental health. The culture, the community you are in, what is their culture and their belief about mental health? Some people still believe, that that mental health challenge is caused by an evil spirit. And so, and as an advocate, you should be able to balance these things. And as an advocate, when you're relating with patients struggling with mental health challenge, you should be able to balance, because you cannot yank off cultural belief from an average Nigerian. So you should be able to you should be able to balance what you know as an advocate and their own cultural belief. For example, during our as professionals, even when someone, okay, let me just I had a patient. I was working with a patient. So the boy has schizophrenia. Fortunately, it started when he was in university. Like I said, biological. So maybe stress in the university triggered the psychosis. So he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, was being managed, had already stayed a very long time in the hospital. So at the point of discharge, he has not made full recovery. For his prognosis was not good because he presented very late, So the father, I was a psychologist working with him. So the father was like, this medication will be given, so that he even wants to try church, this religious now, not culture. It could also be culture. He might have said he wanted to go to a native healer or something. But the thing is that I did not discourage him. I just told him that, he can go take his son to wherever he feels, he can get help, but he should ensure that the son comes for his follow-up and gets his medication, so that he doesn't stop the boy from getting his medications. Because if I had tried to convince him that no, whatever we are doing is the best and he shouldn't even bother going wherever he wanted to go, that would be detrimental to the boy's treatment, because at the end of the day, they will not come for follow-up anymore. So that I will not be asking them why, anything about their religious or beliefs or where we are going to. But I just made it clear to them that, you can go wherever you want to go and get help for your child, but also ensure that he's getting his medications and coming for his follow-up treatment. And that was how, I was able to balance it. So as an advocate too, I just use that as an example. So you should be able to balance these things. If you try to convince the individual to, about their cultural belief, that you might end up not getting the results you want. You should have the knowledge of available mental health services and resources within your community. You should have that firsthand, because at times you might meet emergencies that will not avail you the time to start calling, looking for where to refer the person to or the professional to work with. So you should have within your community professionals that you're able to refer to, so that in case you're faced with any emergency, you refer immediately. So roles and responsibilities of what are your roles as an advocate? Number one, like I said earlier, raising awareness, promoting help-seeking behavior. So raising awareness and challenging stigma, and promoting help-seeking behavior, providing accurate information about mental health challenges. And for you to be able to provide accurate information, you should be able to know these things yourself. You should always seek to know, seek for knowledge, you read up, enroll in short courses, whatever it is that can help you. Also listen with empathy and without judgment. When it comes to listening, without judgment, you might not need to say anything. Your facial expression might give you out, because when it comes to mental illness and mental health challenges, you will hear stories, because by the time you're working with the person, by the time you're talking to support the person, you will know the person's family history, and all that stories that might be disheartening. And if you make an expression like surprise innocently, it could deter the person from telling you what the person needs to tell you. And if the person doesn't tell you the full story, you might not be able to give the person the right support. So when it comes to listening without judgment, not necessarily you talking, you should be able to listen to the person with a just normal flat facial expression, no comments. You make comments at least to let the person know that you're actually listening, but the comment should be like, okay, I hear you, yes, I'm with you. You do not, yeah, you serious? You mean it happened? No, please. You shouldn't use such phrases and comments. Also, knowing referral pathways in your community, like I said, you should be very handy, very, very handy. As an advocate, you do not provide treatment. You do not provide any form of treatment. Your role is just to support, create awareness, and your limits and ethical boundaries as an advocate. Yeah, in as much as you're not a professional, you might think you're not bound to an ethical code, but as an advocate, there are certain ethical boundaries you shouldn't cross, and also being able to understand your limits, which one is not diagnosing mental illness, because you've had the knowledge and you see someone experiencing hallucination and then you should say, it's schizophrenia, or the person has schizophrenia, or no, please. Because one thing with diagnosis, it is a label. It is a label. Even as professionals, we are very careful making these diagnoses, because it is a label. You've told the person that see what they have, and and because of the awareness and the way we take mental issues here in this part of the world, Nigeria, it's something that the person just wears as a label. So we are very difficult, even as professionals, making that diagnosis. So that you be sure that whatever diagnosis you're writing down is what the person actually has. So you can imagine, as an advocate, you just keep dishing diagnoses like that. No, please. Mental health is a very delicate issue, and you as an advocate, it's not your job to diagnose, because even the professionals that are making these diagnoses, we look at several factors. We have what's it called, our clinical books that guide us, looking at several factors, and even going like asking questions back to the person's history, and giving the person several assessments to be able to get a clearer picture. So your job as an advocate is not to make diagnosis, please. Then 2, not providing psychotherapy, counseling, or medication advice, please. As you can, like someone said that she wants to do a PGD course, I can't remember again, in counseling or so. So yes, and as an advocate, you can take it a snapshot and go for in counseling, and go for courses in counseling, so you can be able to counsel. But other than that, please, you're not expected to provide psychotherapy, counseling, or medication advice. These are professionally done by a trained and licensed individuals. Okay, as an advocate also, you're not supposed to manage crisis alone, especially such as suicidal behavior, violence, or severe psychosis. Even for severe psychosis, it's only medical doctors that even manage that, because they do that with injections and medications. It's not something you want to approach the person. Then suicidal behavior, very important. Please, you refer as soon as possible. Once you engage someone and find out immediately that the person is having suicidal thoughts or ideation, please refer to a professional as soon as possible so as to avoid loss of life. That 1 minute delay or few minutes delay can be what the person would use to actually take their own life, and you wouldn't want that. So please, when it comes to suicidal behavior, please prefer as soon as possible. Then also, not breaching confidentiality. You're going to hear people's stories, a lot of them, from their family history, from their relationship issues. You're going to hear people's stories, and please, they should be absolute confidentiality. It's not a gist for your neighbor, it's not a gist for your partner, it's not a gist for anybody. Absolute confidentiality, except when there's risks of harm to oneself or harm to others. You can be engaging someone and the person threatens someone else, or also, or makes a comment about taking their own life. So it's apart from that, you can please, once you hear any risk to harm, whatever, whether it's to the person or to someone else, please report it to a professional. A professional would know the channels to use and to go about the situation. Then so, and as an advocate, you shouldn't be giving simplistic advice. Your advice should be actionable. If someone engages to you and probably the person is stressed, and so your advice should be how to get the person to have healthy sleep, healthy lifestyle. So your advice should be actionable and not just it is well, okay, let's be positive, let's see what happens. No, your advice, an intervention as an advocate should be actionable. So how do you know when to refer for professional help as an advocate? When the person has suicidal thoughts, plans, or attempts. When there's self-harm, there are people that self-harm, you see them, they are cutting whenever they are, they're emotionally dysregulated, they start cutting themselves and all. When there's self-harm, please refer. When there's threats to harm others, when the person is experiencing hallucination, delusion, or severe disorientation, and also when there's substance dependence or when there's withdrawal symptoms. In non-emergency referral, if there's no emergency but you've been working with someone for over a time, but the person's symptoms keep worsening and it's beginning to affect their daily life, and the symptom is persistent, it is not resolving, and it has started affecting their functioning, then please refer to a professional for proper intervention. So how do you refer effectively? When you talk about refer to a professional, you don't just say, okay, go and meet so person. No, please. When you're done listening calmly and non-judgmentally, you first of all express concern using very supportive language. I hear you. I whatever. Okay, I can't remember the phrases now. So like phrases like, oh, I hear you, I see you, I'm here to support you, as supportive as much as you can. Then you encourage them and let them know that seeking professional help is not a form of failure or weakness, rather than it's a form of strength, because you're trying to get help that you actually need. You have to make them understand how much help they need, and let them understand that seeking that help, going for the help, is not a sign of weakness. Maybe sometimes men, they'll tell you, therapy, a man like me will come and be. So it's not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Then you also provide information about the available services, that is within their community, also weighing their socioeconomic status. Like around here, most times, depending on the person's socioeconomic status, you that refer to general hospital, or you refer, or the person can go to a private facility like our own, because general hospital obviously is more affordable. So you refer to the available service, you refer the person to available services, and Where possible, also support the person in making first contact. You can also reach out to these professionals and make the first contact before they start following up, because at times the person might develop cold feet, and I'll probably maybe talk to a friend, and the person will be like, what are you using this one to do? So many other things, so many other factors. So you might also go out of your way to help the person make the first contact. So in emergencies, like we've talked about, involve healthcare services, involve trusted adults if you're alone, and then maybe there's an emergency, and you involve trusted adults, you involve healthcare services and first time responders. So in conclusion, mental health advocacy generally is about awareness, about supporting the individual, making connections, supporting the individual, and if necessary, referring the individual to the right support, to the right professional that they can get help. So as an advocate, you do not replace professionals. You serve as a bridge between professionals and the community, so because as professionals, they would have so many people to care for, and as in the community, so many people might not even be aware that professions like this exist. So you as an advocate bridges that gap between the professionals and the community, and in bridging that gap, you also render care to the people in the community. You help them feel seen, you help them feel supported and guided. And that is the end of my pep talk. If you have any questions, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please kindly let me know. No questions. Please, was I audible? So I was just talking, nobody was answering question. All right, so
Yes,
if
ma,
there is
you
no
were audible, ma.
okay, so Anita, just tell us, as an advocate, what do you think your role is now?
Okay, now, so I know that my role is not to cure people. I should leave that for a proper therapist. What I should do is to create awareness and help them know how to manage that situation better. Yes.
All right, that's good. All right, what if Mr. Joseph? And I don't know when at one point you joined in, but please, if there's any takeaway from what we've talked about this evening, what's that? Hello, Joseph, can you hear me?
Hi, hello. Sorry, trying to unmute.
Okay.
Okay, so I think referral is key from what I have taken, because there are professionals in psychology. Okay, so just as you said, create awareness. So I'm basically taking from what you said and what other people said. Create awareness and mostly refer for emergency cases, and there's mostly things that you cannot handle as an advocate. So you just create awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, please create awareness and also support. Also support. You don't just leave it at awareness, please. Also support. All right, thank you so much, Joseph. Define, please. So, what is your takeaway from what we talked about today? Hello, Divine Favor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
I mean, noisy. That was why I've been quiet. Thank you so much. So my take for today is we're not replacing the professionals, but I like the term you use, that we are a bridge between them, and that really sink deep.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Divine. I think that is all we have. All right. Well done. Well done. Well done, guys. Sorry about the sharing stuff, but I didn't even know how to navigate the whole thing. But I'm glad I'm able to send the document to you. on the platform. So please, you can just go through it. And like I said, even like Mr. Fola said, you should yearn for knowledge. You should yearn, you should have that zeal to be able to know more so that you can help as much people as possible, because it's when you know it, you can actually relay that message. You can actually educate. If you don't know it, you can't educate anyone. And even if you try educating, you're spreading the wrong information out there. And like being a bridge between professionals and the community, like you're just our shadow in the community. And if you're spreading that wrong information, and I mean, it doesn't tell right on the profession, people in mental health profession. So please read, gain as much knowledge as you can as possible. So yes, please, that brings us to today's learning session and training. I don't know, Fadeke, any other thing on the agenda? Hello, Fadeke, if you are talking, we can't hear you. So thank you so much, guys, for coming. Mr. Fola, is still here?
Yes, I'm here,
trying to
loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much, Mobiwande. Yes, powerful session, and I'm glad that you were able to still make do with the time that we had. So I think we will have an update for you for the next session, which will be held by, one of the judges of the competition, RB. I want you guys to look out for her. And I also want to encourage you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We started uploading some of the competition videos there. So you might see your own there and then share with other people, because the conversation did not just stop from the competition. It actually continues. Hopefully, we will have more sponsorship to increase the prize money and the things that people can benefit when they create more mental health content. All right, then. Until then, we are going to see you all again. Please be active on the group when we reach out to you, and see you some other time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.